In 130 days, I'm going to go over $120,000 into debt, and I have no way of paying it back. You may be wondering, JQ, what went wrong that you owe that much money? Well, I actually think I did everything right. I went to college for 4 years, studied hard, earned 2 bachelor's degrees, and I even won an award for the highest GPA in my department. I got a part-time research job after I graduated, but decided that wasn't enough, so I went back to school for 2 more years and earned a master's degree. Now that's all great, but college is expensive, and I had to take out some student loans, which total $121,507.03. And these loan officers don't play around. I got a notice the day that I received my degree, saying that I had to come up with some money, and soon. Now, there are deferment and forgiveness programs if you do higher education or work in a federal lab that I could use, but after 2.5 years of hard work, the lab that I work at said that they no longer have funding to keep me on. So I started looking elsewhere. I applied to a few PhDs, but they have no funding either. I looked across the entire national lab system, and there are quite literally 0 jobs available. Well, there is one job, but I can't even really keep my room clean, so I think I'm underqualified. So here I am, about to be 24 with 3 years salary in debt to pay off. And I had to start paying that debt off in the next 4 months with no way of making money, except through poker. I've been taking poker seriously for a little over a year now, and I've made about $20,000 in profit over that time. So I need about 6 years to pay off the debt at this rate. But those loans have some pretty nasty interest rates, so that $120K is going to balloon pretty quickly. So that means to get out of debt, I'm gonna have to study harder, play better, and take some shots at higher stakes than I've ever played before. The goal, to make $125,000 by New Year's Eve 2026. That's about 18 months. And we're starting off in the poker capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. It's not going to be easy, but nothing worth doing is. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to stay up to date on the challenge, and let's get right into it. We're starting our challenge at the Venetian. It has a beautiful aesthetic inside, which I very much enjoy. We head up the escalator to the poker room, which is very nicely tucked away from all the loud noises of the casino floor. The series is in full effect, and Venetian are hosting their own tournaments, so the room is buzzing. We're here to play cash though. We grab some chips from the cashier and sit down starting at the 1-3 game. We are in for $300, that's the max. We're also on the list for the 2-3 game as well. Good luck us. We get off to kind of a slow start. Here we're raising pocket 8s from early position. Both the blinds are going to call. We check back the flop, call the turn probe, and then just fold on the river when the 4 straight comes in. Next up we have pocket 10s. We're going to 3-bet and c-bet and just take it down. Next up we have pocket queens in the hijack. There's an early position limp. I raise it up to $20 and everyone just folds. This game might not be the best action. Lucky for us though, we've just been called for the 2-3 game. We're going to switch tables and add on to get up to the $600 cap. And our action at the new table starts with us having ace-king offsuit in the big blind. The cutoff is raised to $15. The small blind is called, and I'm going to put in the squeeze to $90. They're both pretty quickly going to fold though, so we'll just take down $30 pre-flop. Next, we're raising ace-9 of hearts in the low jack. The hijack calls, and we're heads up to a flop, which is monotone, all hearts. We flop the nuts. I get a little bit tricky here and check it on over to him out of position, but unfortunately, he just checks it on back, and the turn is the jack of hearts. 4 hearts on board now. I'm hoping my opponent has just made a flush. I have to start trying to build a pot, so I bet out for $15, and he's just going to fold. So our slow start continues until we pick up our first real hand of the night. It's 7-6 of spades in middle position. I raise it on up to $12. Only the big blind is going to call, and we're going to go heads up to a flop. The flop comes out king, queen, 4 with 2 clubs. We have a total air ball here, but we are going to have the range advantage on this texture, so I decided to leverage that with a small bet of $7, around a quarter pot. And the big blind puts in the call. The turn is the 9 of hearts. He checks on over to me once again, and we don't have any interactivity here. We want a little bit more equity, I think, to be barreling, so I check it on back, and we see the 8 of hearts hit the river. He checks it on over to me for a 3rd time, and we have 7 high. Of course, we're going to be bluffing, and I think on this board, we're not going to be reopening a queen on the river. We'd probably just check that one back. So we're only going to be betting a king and better for value, so I think we're going to be sizing large. So I decide to bluff for a large size, $30 into 37. Fortunately for us, there's no sweat. He folds pretty quickly. It's not a huge pot, but always feels nice to get a bluff through early on in the session. We're hovering right about even before our table is going to break and become a tournament table. No matter though, there's plenty of action at the Venetian. We move to a new 2-3 table, which seems a little bit softer than our first one. And in our first hand at the new table, the middle position player has raised to $20. The low jack has gone all in for his remaining $27, and we peel ace of hearts, queen of diamonds in the hijack. Ace queen offsuit, definitely a hand I want to be playing for more than $20 with. In game, I choose a fairly small 3-bet size of 65. I'd like to see myself go a little bit bigger in hindsight, especially because the low jack only has $27, so we could definitely be getting involved with hands that are far worse than ours. As played though, the middle position player is going to put in the call, so we have a main pot of around $80, a side pot almost just as big. Her and I are going to check it down until the river is the ace of spades. She now leads for $20. I think our hand is good enough to raise for value. She could also just be stabbing and trying to win the fairly large side pot, so I decided to raise it up to $80. Again, I think a little bit too small. Would have liked to see myself go in the region of $100. She pretty quickly puts in the call. Do we win? No, she has ace queen offsuit as well. We're gonna chop this one up for a pretty small profit, but our hands against this player don't stop there. Pretty soon after, we're gonna get involved in a 3-bet pot where we raise up king 10 of hearts to $15 over her $45 open. She calls, there's 90 in the middle. She's going to donk lead on jack 8 deuce with 1 heart for $35, around a third the size of the pot. We decide to stick around with our backdoor straight, backdoor flush draw possibilities, but when the deuce of spades hits the turn and she continues for $75, I think we just have to give this one up. A few orbits later, we have pocket jacks. There's been a limper. We're gonna raise it on up to $20, and everyone is just going to fold. So a bit anticlimactic there with jacks and earlier in the session with queens, but we're gonna get a chance to play a pretty big pot with a premium here in our next hand when it folds to us in the small blind and we peel ace king offsuit. There's no chopping here at the Venetian. We're gonna go to war with our friend in the big blind, Frank, who is a 2-5 and 5-10 reg at MGM Springfield and apparently knows my friend Alec. I make it $20 to go. Frank thinks for a while before busting out the 3-bet to $65. We start the hand pretty deep at around $600 effective or 200 big blinds, so it is starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable here. We don't even have a pair after all, but it is ace-king. We're still ahead of a lot of his range. Frank is no nit. He's definitely not just 3-betting the top 5% of hands or anything like that, so I decided to bust out the 4-bet to $190. It's a pretty healthy size out of position, around 3x, and Frank thinks for a bit before flicking in the call. So we're playing a 4-bet blind versus blind pot, not something you see every day at the live low stakes poker tables, and the flop comes out 10-7-6 with 2 hearts and a spade. Not the best flop for our actual hand, but we are going to have all the over pairs probably pure in this spot, as well as pocket 10s a large percentage of the time. I also think that while the big blind is likely to have 10s, 7s and 6s probably don't get 3-bet all that often, and Frank may feel inclined to bang in a hand like pocket queens or pocket jacks pre-flop. In game, I decided to play a 25% pot range bet for $90. Looking back, I think this is actually a board we're going to check fairly often with the intention of check raising our stronger hands, because in theory we are supposed to bluff a fair amount of offsuit Broadway combos, so checking protects that part of our range a bit, although I'm not sure how many of those I'm actually going to have in real life, although I do end up with one here. Frank puts in the call, so the pot is ballooning to over $550, and we see the 9 of spades hits the turn. Presents a 4-liner to an 8. I'm not sure how much 8x Frank is going to have. Pocket 8s makes a lot of sense, but I think that's unlikely after I check and he decides to check it on back. I don't think I'm ever barreling this turn when it comes disconnected. Like I said earlier, I'm going to have a lot of big cards, aces, kings, queens, jacks, so this isn't really my board. The river is the board pairing 10 of clubs. It doesn't improve our hand, but on the flip side, no new hands improve to beat us. Like I said, I will be checking my entire range on the turn, so I will retain hands like aces, kings, queens, and jacks. I will even have made 4 of a kind on this river sometimes. I think Frank recognizes that, so I don't think he's just going to pure stab some of his overpairs on the turn. We have about $380 left behind on the river. If I did arrive here with a hand like aces or kings, I think I would just pure shove them, looking to get called by queens and jacks, and I would probably consider check calling with hands like pocket queens and pocket jacks, hoping to induce bluffs from his king and queen high hands. That peeled the flop with some straight draws and possibly flush draws as well. Oftentimes when you're looking to bluff a river, your bluffs want to mirror your value. So if we're shoving pocket aces and pocket kings on the river, ace king may seem like a good bluff, but I don't think we can actually get anything better to fold here. If I did have my value combos, I would definitely be going all in, targeting hands like jacks and queens to call me. So if I'm shoving ace king trying to get those same hands to fold, then my logic thread is pretty inconsistent. So I would much rather bluff a hand like king jack or queen jack, looking to get some folds from ace high hands, because I don't really think his pairs are ever going to fold on this river. With all that being said, I think ace king actually makes a decent bluff catcher. When I check in Frank shoves, I'll need to call the top 40% of my hands for the price that I'm getting, and so if I'm only going to check call queens and jacks here, I don't think those are enough combos. I think against most, it's fine to just let them bluff you a little bit too much, especially in these tight spots like this, but I do think Frank is capable and can definitely show up with some worse hands than ours here. What I forgot to mention though is that sometimes when we check, Frank is going to check back, and when we show ace king offsuit, he's going to sigh and muck his hand. He did take a while on the river. I think he was considering bluffing, probably with a hand like ace jack suited or ace queen. I guess we'll never know, but we're going to be dragging in a $560 pot with just ace king high. It feels pretty good. Let me know what you guys think of my potential check call line on the river. Either way, we don't have to get put into a tough spot, and our stack can start to work its way in the right direction. We're feeling pretty good after winning that last hand, and we've already improved when we pick up a pair of pocket fives in the hijack. I raised it up to $15. The button, small blind, and big blind are all going to call, so we're 4 ways to a flop with $60 in the middle, which comes the gorgeous ace queen 5 with 2 spades. We have bottom set on an ace high board. This is the stuff that dreams are made of. It checks to us, and I decide to check it on over to the button. He's been pretty stab happy today, obviously looking to get into the check raise, but unfortunately he's just going to check it on back. The turn is the 3 of diamonds, and when both the blinds check, it's time to go for value. I size up for $30, around half pot. The button comes along for the ride, as does the small blind. So we're 3 ways off to the river with $150 in the middle, and the dealer puts out the unbelievable 5 of clubs. I nearly jump out of my seat, but trying to keep my cool as the small blind checks it on over to us. We're going to be sizing up. I choose a size of $115 into $150. Around 75% the size of the pot. I probably could have gone even larger because the button absolutely snap calls us, and when it's back on the small blind, he hasn't made a quick decision either. I'm praying that he raises or at least calls, but after about 45 seconds of deliberation, he just lets his hand go. I turn over my cards to reveal that I have all the 5s, and we are going to be scooping in this $380 pot. It always feels nice to make big hands and big pots, but right after linking up with Lunas and Michael Marshall here, it appears that we may be on a full-blown heater when just a couple of shuffles later, we pick up pocket kings in middle position. I'm going to make it $15 to go. The low jack and the big blind are going to call, so we're 3 ways to a jack 6-3 flop with 2 spades. I'm planning on checking to check raise if it checks to me, but the big blind doesn't give me the opportunity when she donks for $20. Now, she only started the hand with $200 left behind, and I'm 100% comfortable playing for that much money with this big of a hand, so I decide to raise it right up here on the flop to $60. The idea is when she calls, we will be jamming pretty much every turn in the deck, but after the low jack folds and it's back on her, she laughs to herself for a little bit, flashes us the jack of diamonds, and throws it in the muck. So she kind of owns us here by getting away for so cheap, but that is 3 straight pots that we're going to be taking down. Alright, somebody may officially need to call up Fireman K. Boulay because we are officially on fire. When we peel pocket 3s in the big blind, we defend multi-way, and the flop comes out ace, king, 3, rainbow. We flop bottom set once again. No, I'm just kidding. It came ace, king, jack, and we check folded. Had to balance that one for you guys. I don't quite run that good, but it seems our mini heater may not be over just yet when a few orbits later we pick up pocket aces in the cutoff. The under the gun has limped, the low jack has ISO'd to $15, the hijack is called, we of course are going to put in the raise. I make it $55 to go, kind of an in-between size. I don't mind sizing up a little bit more, we do have the best hand in poker after all, and we are fairly deep. It doesn't quite matter what size we 3-bet to though, because everyone is just going to fold, so a little bit unfortunate. Would have liked to play a big pot with aces there. Shortly after this, we're going to cool off, go a little bit card dead. Our table is going to get a little bit stale as well. We've been playing for about 5 hours at this point. I'm getting a little tired and a little bit hungry, so I decide it's time to rack up, tap the table, and book the win. So there you have it. Very solid session to start the challenge. Results are popping up on your screen right now. We only have to do that 500 more times to reach our goal, so it's gonna be a grind. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and the bell notification to stay up to date on the challenge. Other than that, peace and love, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.